Let's look at Ruth Bad Girl Ginsburg on the United States Supreme Court, who was in Egypt recently. We have the sound for you, and you're not going to believe what you're about to hear. Here is the craziest, most dangerous woman in American history, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in Egypt, telling Egyptians that it's an inspiring time in Egypt. You've overthrown a dictator, and you're going to create a great democracy, but don't look to the U.S. Constitution as a model. If you're drafting a constitution, look at South Africa and its constitution. Here is a woman born in Brooklyn, New York in 1933, appointed by none other than Bill Clinton, and lauded as a great Supreme Court justice because she was once the head of the ACLU. She was the ACLU's general counsel. Now, I could spend hours talking about the dangers of the ACLU, the Anti-Civil Liberties Union, the Anti-Christian Liberty Union. We just know that they're anti-American, anti-family, anti-church, and anti-God. In other words, they're anti-everything that's worth living for. And Ginsburg was the chief counsel, which should have disqualified her from becoming a Supreme Court justice, because here you have a clear bias. Nevertheless, she was appointed by Bill Clinton and ushered into the Supreme Court, and she's still there, by the way, by Republicans like Orrin Hatch and other rhinos. Now she's in Egypt. And listen to what Ruth Bader Ginsburg says now in clip 5. You got to listen carefully.
You should certainly be aided by all the Constitution writing that has gone on since the end of World War II. I would not look to the U.S. Constitution if I were drafting a Constitution in the year 2012. I might look at the Constitution of South Africa. That was a deliberate attempt to have a fundamental instrument of government that embraced basic human rights, had an independent judiciary. It really is, I think, a great piece of work that was done.
She should be impeached immediately. It's time for this crazy left-wing fanatic to be thrown off the Supreme Court. You say, well, big deal. Big deal? Are you crazy? Do you have any idea what this is and why I'm talking about it? It goes to the core of Obama and his regime. It goes to the core of why, as bad as the Republicans are, and believe me, I have problems with those rhinos like Romney. Believe me. Believe me. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? They have to be safer for our freedoms than these mad, crazy left-wing dictators, these tyrants who call themselves liberals. You look up the facts on Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and your hair just stands up on the top of your head. Here is a woman in Egypt, which is now going through an Islamic revolution. Here is a woman pushing the big lie that the Arab Spring, pushed by her buddies, Jimmy Carter, Brzezinski, George Soros, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, the entire pack of fanatic leftists are delusional by telling us there's such a thing as an Arab Spring. It's an Arab nightmare. And yet she here is lying to you, saying that this is an inspiring time in Egypt. It's not inspiring. It's a horrendous time in Egypt. But worse than that, she's stabbing America in the back the very same way that your boss, Barack Obama, does every time he gets out of Dodge. And I know the mind of the New York liberal. I know the hatred they have for this country. I know the visceral fear they have for the average person. I know the desires that the liberal has for this nation. I know them in my DNA. And liberalism, as I pointed out in one of my earlier books, is a mental disorder. For a Ruth Bader Ginsburg, whose ancestors fled the tyranny of Russia, no doubt, to spit on this Constitution, to spit on the United States of America like this, is disgusting, to say the least. Despicable, to say the least. But that unto itself is nothing. She should be impeached immediately. There should be movements to impeach her for un-American statements and un-American activities. You heard me. Back in the 1950s, there was a House of Un-American Activities Committee. HUAC, the bane of the communists in the United States of America. They feared it. They hated it. They reviled it. They made movies about it. But unfortunately for them, it was 100% right. Most of what UAC went after, most of who UAC went after, were hardcore operatives of the Soviet Union, as proven years later by the Venona papers published by the Soviets after the fall of the Soviet Empire. Yes, there were and are communists in the movie industry. Yes, there were and are communists in the government of Barack Obama.